We're now going to be looking at how we can use the property of display. Display has four options: inline, inline block, block and none. There are many others, but these are the main ones. It essentially dictates how an element should be displayed in the browser. The best way for me to actually illustrate this to you is, here's a paragraph of text. It's the description of a certain play by Shakespeare. If you guess the right one, congratulations. Extra brownie points for you. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to include a span in here so that we can style a small amount of this. Actually, I'm going to put it on let's just put it in here. We're going to put the span around letter for Rosalind. So if I can just show you, let's connect this CSS as well. Display. Okay, just to make sure it's all working, I'm just going to test it. So let's style our spans. Background color yellow. Okay, so far we're not actually doing any display. Essentially, it's just showing as it's supposed to, inline. So if I were to, and let's change the span so we're actually covering Rosalind and Rosalind receiving, because then it's on the same line. It's a bit easier to show you what's going on. So if I move this here really quickly, there you go, that's a bit better. Now it's all on one line. So essentially, first thing I'm going to do is go for display inline. And as you can see, nothing actually changes because it's inline. It's where it's supposed to be. That's working just fine. Now, if for example I wanted this span to have a different height to everything else, let's say I wanted to have 100 pixels. So I wanted this to suddenly be a lot larger. If I refresh, nothing's going to happen, because when I'm saying that I want this to be displayed in line, it kind of overrides this. This height 100px actually just gets completely ignored because I'm saying the display should be in line, which is basically saying I want it to stay how it's supposed to be. However, if I say I want it to be in line, I want it to be inline block, what I'm saying there is that, yeah, I want it to stay in line, but I also want the whole line to become a block. So if I refresh this now, you will see that that whole line has become a height of 100px, and this is looking like inline block. Now, if I change this to just block, what's going to happen is that just this part of the paragraph, this span, is going to be on its own line altogether. So this is just going to take up a whole line. So finally, if we go for display none, interestingly enough, it's just going to completely disappear. The text is no longer there that was there before. And that's because we're basically saying not to display it. And you might be wondering, well, that doesn't make much sense. Why would you want to put something into your browser that just doesn't appear? Well, when we get onto using JavaScript, you'll see that that's actually really helpful for, like, if we say we want the user to click a button and then for something to appear, then we'll be changing the display from none to something like inline, or let's say we want to look block. So then we refresh. Okay, now it's in a block. So what's important to realize here is that you can do this with all elements. It's not just paragraphs and spans, but to display inline is to basically say display it how it should be displayed, inline. Inline block is to say, you know, keep it in line, but I want it to be a block, so you can then basically do things like give it a height. And then finally, if you give it a display of block, which is one of the most commonly used ones, that's just saying put it on its own line, just like this. So give it a block that covers the whole line of the screen. So those are the four main ones. Give them a try playing around with them with different elements, not just paragraphs. See how you get on, and then I'll see you in the next lecture.